My name's Dr. Tim Rogers. So I'm a consultant psychiatrist. I work with all sorts of different kinds of athletes and players and dancers. Mental resilience is not something that comes naturally to, I would say, anybody, whether athletes or business people. It's something that is learnt. It's something that people develop over time. If we think about the way in which the psychology of high performance might stretch across sport or dance or business, I don't think it's controversial to say that for a long time it's been well known, well talked about, that lots of those psychological theories, approaches and intervention are applicable to business people and people who perform highly away from sport in many of the same and similar ways. The psychology of high performance, I think, for a long time, it's been very clear that self-awareness is key, really understanding yourself right from the basic building blocks of kind of health and resilience, like things like, what sleep you need, how to eat, how to recover, how to reach out and seek social support or mentorship and advice when you need it, and then all the way through to the more complex things like understanding your mental health, understanding your values and what you stand for, like your why it is you're like striving to do this kind of incredible thing. For high achieving individuals, we know that they're human the same as everyone else, and many studies of athletes outwardly would suggest that they might not experience mental ill health at rates that are hugely different to others. One of the differences about high-performing people and athletes is that sometimes they can be relatively less affected in terms of their function, in terms of how they're performing, even when inside they're really not okay. Sometimes, we can all feel like life has been too hard and we're kind of close to the edge of that burnout cliff. And one of the differences between high-performing people and I guess people who aren't able to do that sometimes is that the sort of the cliff edge to reaching burnout is kind of further away. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a burnout cliff for them as well. And really, I suppose it's about sort of knowing when you're walking towards that precipice and knowing what kind of things can help you kind of take a pause and move back in the other direction. Identity is important for everyone, isn't it? I think we all, to be healthy, we all need to have a sense of what our identity is and what our purpose is and who we want to be in life. And so I suppose sometimes when athletes are in their career, it can be helpful to work with them on like understanding, being self-aware about their identities and balancing those identities, and then as they transition from being in sport to out of sport, it's really important, I think, to sort of think ahead of time about where identities will be in the future and how those identities are going to contribute to kind of a sense of purpose and self-esteem. That applies to high performers in every setting. If we think about why it's important to tailor the support, that sense of self-awareness is really key, and it's definitely not the case that the same thing works for everybody. Everybody needs to have a sense of what their, I suppose, triggers are, what their risks are for them, a sense of what kind of things represent self-care for them in terms of keeping them going. They have to have a sense of when they need to pause and rest and recover. The ways in which those things are achieved are not the same from one I suppose athlete or business person to the next. And so really, I think tailoring what you do for someone is critical to getting a good outcome.